Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Next Generation podcast. So, today I've come with something a little different than what I'm used to doing on this channel. I love interacting with you all, and I'd like to learn more about you guys. And when I learn about you guys, it's the conversation just becomes more interesting, and I get so excited whenever I speak to you all. So today I have a guest with me, a very special guest. She is a very loyal supporter and just a supportive person on this channel. So I'd like to welcome Shatara.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. What about yourself?
I'm doing well. With this whole pandemic thing, I'm just hoping that you're doing well, that your family is doing well, and that anyone who's watching this, all my viewers, that your family is just well, that you're well, and that you guys are just sticking together to get through this thing.
Yes, definitely, because it has really been very challenging. I work for one of the largest cancer hospitals in the state of Michigan, and
Mm,
at the time when this thing first became on ground, four employees were tested positive, but thank God I was still in the
wow.
clean negative. But it has been rough. It has really been a rough road. So only thing we can do is just stay safe, stay prayed up, and I always say this too shall pass.
Yes, I totally agree, and I'm happy to hear that you're okay and that you said four of employees at your job was tested positive.
Yes, that is correct. Two of them were doctors, and one
Wow.
of them was an assistant, and another one was a nurse practitioner.
Oh my gosh. I just hope that everything that that they recover and that everything goes well. That's scary.
Yes, it is very scary. And in the state of Michigan right now, the number's steady increasing. We have over 2,300 cases, and now we have like over 50 deaths. And I just got
Wow.
I just got the word last night that our Detroit police chief has tested positive for coronavirus. So we are definitely keeping him in prayer and lifting him up for him and his family that he recovers from this, because this is nothing to play with. This is a very deadly virus and it's spreading around like wildfire.
Yeah, that's so disheartening. The one thing that I'm really kind of upset about with this whole virus situation is the fact that I feel that a lot of people, while they're overhyping this whole situation, like constantly just talking about it, um, there's a lot of just misinformation and people not taking it seriously at the same time. I work in education, and I had a teacher who was kind of telling students that they shouldn't worry about the disease because they're younger, and I'm just like, I don't think that's the right approach, and I don't think that's the way that you should talk to kids, especially because once you tell them, oh, don't worry about it, they don't worry about it, and
Right.
I don't think that was appropriate. And I actually just saw a post from somebody on Twitter who is a young person who I don't believe has any underlining health issues, said that they
Hmm.
tested positive and they have coronavirus and pneumonia at the same time. And
Oh
they're
God.
and there's a lot of misinformation of take aspirin, like, I mean, well, not even aspirin but ibuprofen, and they're saying that that's not the right thing to do in this situation because it does something. I'm not in the medical field, but I read something about like receptors and that it's not good to do that. I'll try to find it and maybe link it for everyone to look at. But yeah, I think everyone should just stay informed and keep away from other people. Try to stay inside and
Right. Just stay in the house, because our governor signed an executive stay at home order just a few days ago that we have to stay in the house. If you are not working for an essential business, you have to stay in the house. I know it
mhm,
sucks because right now the whole city is like a ghost town. Everything is shut down. It's very frustrating, but this is the only thing that we can do to not only protect ourselves and keeps ourselves safe, but also our
mhm,
loved ones and those who we truly care about around us. This stuff is
absolutely.
very serious.
Mhm,
It's very
absolutely.
serious.
Yeah,
Yes.
so everyone wash your hands, stay inside, and stay prayed up.
That's all we can do. That's just the best thing we can do right now.
Absolutely. So let's get started with this interview. So you and I have actually spoken through Facebook a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. And
Mhm.
when you told me the story, I thought that this was something that should get out to everyone. And I was going to just do, my normal video and explain the story, but an idea came to me that this is not really my story to tell, that this is your story. This is something that you experience. And I thought, what better way than for you to have an opportunity to share not just to the Moonwalkers, but to everyone else about something serious that happened. And I think that this is a story that um could potentially, like, this could raise awareness about a lot of things, and not just in the Michael Jackson community, but just
Yes,
about the state of our, not just justice system, but kind of like the court of public opinion, how that can affect a lot of things.
yes, absolutely.
So you can start off by telling the viewers what happened, what we spoke about.
Yes, so, well, first of all, good evening, everyone. I had an incident with my 12-year-old niece last month for Black History Month. And you know how back when we were young, when we were in school, we had to choose someone who we looked up to, someone who inspired us to do a project on. So my 12-year-old niece decided to do Michael Jackson. And so when the teacher had went around the room to ask everyone who were they doing their project about, and when she said that she wants to do her project on Michael Jackson, she said her teacher just completely humiliated her and told her that if she does her project on Michael Jackson, she will get an F. And when she told me that, I was furious. Me and her mother were very furious. And I asked her, well, why did she tell you that? And my niece told me that the teacher told her in front of everybody that Michael is a bad person, he's a pedophile, he raped
Mm,
children, things like that. I mean, come on, you do not say that to no child, especially not in front of her whole class.
absolutely.
Number one, they're all lies, first and foremost. And I don't care who does not believe me or not. They are all lies because Michael was not a pedophile. He was not a child molester. He did not hurt or rape any children, period. Let's get that straight right now because I am so sick of this. And for my niece to call me crying and tell me that, well, I was furious. I really was furious. So I told my supervisor at my job, I said, Friday, I need to leave early because I need to handle some business. And that's what I
Absolutely.
did. That Friday, I left work early. Me and my niece's mother, we went up to that school because I was not about to have that. You're not about to humiliate my niece like that. And
Hmm.
so, mind you, the teacher was Caucasian, of course, which I'm not surprised. I hate to say that. I'm sorry. But when we all sat down with the principal and had this meeting, and the principal asked my niece, well, why you did not come to tell her what the teacher had said? My niece said that she was afraid because she did not know how the principal was going to react.
Absolutely.
What was so surprising to me, the principal was also a Michael Jackson fan.
Oh,
And
wow.
exactly, the principal was also a Michael Jackson fan. And of course, the principal didn't like that. So, to make a long story short, the teacher got suspended for a week without pay.
Hmm.
Yes. Teacher got suspended for a week without pay. And I had to explain to my niece, me and her mother, we had to sit her down and try to calm her down because she was very upset. She was crying because she kept asking us. She said, well, did he really do? I said, no, he did not, honey. He did
Right.
not do these things. I said, do not believe what you hear out there is all a bunch of lies.
And
He did not do this type of stuff.
that's what I wanted to ask you about. So first, let's backtrack a little bit. So just to, reiterate for everyone out there, what state is this in?
This is in Michigan.
This is in Michigan State, and you don't have to say the city if you don't want to, but if you could describe the area, what kind of area is this? Would you say it's like an urban? Would you say it's like a country area? Like what kind of area? Like suburban?
Urban.
You say it's an urban community, and you did say that the teacher
Yes.
was a white person, a woman, right?
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you know too much about the area of the demographics of the school.
hmm
Um, would you say it's mostly white, mostly black?
It is mostly a mixture. It's between, it's like half and half. Let me just say that.
Okay, a mixture. Okay.
hmm
Um, so the teacher said that he was a pedophile and everything. Did your niece mention anything about other classmates kind of chiming in, kind of making it kind of a bashing thing? Um, did she mention
She
anything like that?
she just said, well, majority of her classmates was laughing at her,
Mm,
except for three people. She did have three classmates that stood up for her and actually tried to tell the teacher off like he is not a pedophile. So I was saying kudos to her for standing up for her while everyone else was laughing at her, humiliate her and teasing her and things like that. Because you don't do that to a child. It's bad enough that there's bullying going on around the world as it is
right.
today. So
Mhm.
many children have taken their own lives because of bullying. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things that really had made me upset is that you humiliated my niece in front of her entire class. And me
Yeah.
personally, and I'm not saying this because I'm a huge MJ fan, but I think that was really beautiful, excellent that she wanted to do her project on Michael Jackson. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest entertainers that has ever set foot on this earth. We're talking about a man who was one of the best humanitarians, who done
Mhm.
a lot for the world, who has helped so many people, donating thousands, millions of dollars to charity, helping those in need. So yes, he does
Mhm.
belong in that category. And and I'm happy to say she did receive an A on that project with the help of her auntie, of course.
That's
But
amazing.
thank you. But yeah, that really upsetted me because how so many people dehumanize this man
Mhm.
and they don't even recognize all the goodness that he has done. And what hurts me is that he was so misunderstood. He has tried to prove himself over and over again that he is not this type of person. He is not the monster that people claim him out to be. But again, people still fail to realize who he was. They want to believe a bullshit ass, fake ass documentary. And I'm sorry to be cussing, but I just had to get my point across.
No, express yourself the way that you feel. I'm
You know,
totally on board with that.
yeah, I just have to get my point across because ever since this fake ass, bullshit ass, fucked up ass documentary came out, it has done so much damage. I cannot even explain it or put it in words. It has put so much damage on who Michael Jackson really was. And what's even so hurtful is that the man is not even here to defend himself.
Mhm.
That's what's so disgusting and disrespectful about this whole thing. He's not even here to defend himself. We, as his true fans, we have to do it for him. And I must tell you, it has not been easy. It has
Mhm.
not been easy. I cannot tell you how many times and hours I stay up all night just about arguing, going back and forth with trolls. It's very exhausting. I don't know if you've seen it for yourself, but haters have created hateful, disgusting accounts about
Of
Michael.
course.
It's just really ridiculous.
You know what?
Ridiculous.
It absolutely is ridiculous as, a YouTuber. I trust me, I've had my fair share of, especially the MJ Not Innocent YouTube page has come onto my channel and has left quite a bit
Oh, that
disgusting
guy,
comments. And,
yeah, that guy
this is
is a
not,
shitbag.
and I hate to have to give this person a platform or a spotlight, but, we got to speak the truth. So,
That's
I've had this person come on to my channel, and this is my thing. I'm not going to delete comments that are, and that don't agree with me, but I'm certainly going to delete comments that are disrespectful. I've
that's
had
right.
I've had, this channel, that channel alongside with another channel. I can't even remember his name, but you did speak to me on Facebook saying to delete the comments. But these two people in particular, the other person is a comedian, has come onto this channel and left disgusting, when I mean disgusting, disgusting comments, disrespecting my subscribers, disrespecting viewers for not agreeing with
Yes.
their point of view. And this is the
Yes.
thing, what I've noticed with the MJ community is it's not us who's starting it. It's not us going to other pages, and we're not searching for people who don't believe us. We
That's
want
right.
you to come to us. But what we're finding is that people who don't agree with what we believe in, they're coming to us and disrespecting us. And I feel that
Right.
it's okay to disagree, but can we actually have a conversation where we can treat other people like human beings? It's
That's right.
it's
And
it's
that's
ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. And I agree with you on that. The thing is, they don't want to agree with us. They want to
They
start an
don't.
argument. They want Michael Jackson to be guilty so bad. But
Mhm.
I'm sorry to say he's not guilty. The man has been proven not guilty. He was found innocent back in June 13th of 2005. How many times do we have to go over this with these idiots? I'm sorry.
That
I mean, what else do you want? What more do you want? The proof is out there. There was no evidence whatsoever that he did these things. But no,
mhm.
you guys, they wanted to go off of a fucking 4 hour disgusting ass documentary to say that, oh, he did this to me. He abused me from the ages of 7 to 10. Y'all know for a fact that these two bastards are lying.
Mhm.
They have changed their story too many times. And I'm
Way too
sick of
many
it.
times. Way too many times.
And
You know,
people kill me with that mess.
yeah. It's I I don't even it's gone to the point for me where I'm just like, I don't want to have the same argument with the same person. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets to the point where it's
Absolutely.
it's like you're trying to tire me out. You're trying to exhaust me. And it's like why keep having the same conversation with the same person when you know that the agenda is to get you beaten down? And it's like
Yes.
I'm not gonna keep doing it with you. Especially that comedian who keeps coming to my page and leaving their comments. I spoke to them one time and I'm not gonna keep going. They kept going and I'm just like, you know what? I didn't even know that it went that far, that you had to contact me to let me know, hey, this person's being very disrespectful. And I went to
Uh,
my comments and then I saw, because I don't know if a lot of the viewers know, but when it okay, so somebody leaves an initial comment, you get a
mhm.
notification. But then when
Yes.
it becomes like a chain of replying to each other, I don't get that notification. It just goes straight to my email. So,
Okay.
I'm not constantly checking my emails all the time. It's most likely when you see me respond to you is because you left an initial comment and I can leave a comment. And a lot of the times I
Right.
don't really go back to keep,
Right.
replying. So when I saw all of the most disgusting, I was like, you know what? This has to stop. I'm not going to allow other people to be subjected to this foolishness, and it's unfair. And this is the thing. They love to call the Michael Jackson fans crazy, obsessed. There are some obsessed, but you know what I'm saying? But just because that we respect him and we like him and admire him and we actually come with the facts does not mean that we're biased. That doesn't mean that the information that we're to some degree, yes. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't mean that the information that we come with is any less true.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
And
Yes.
I don't think that it's fair that it's automatically, oh, these Michael Jackson fans are crazy. And it's kind of like, well, have you looked at the information? Because a lot of the information that they're relying on is a bunch of sensationalism.
That's it. That's it. And even Michael himself used to talk about this all the time before his unexpected death. He used to
Hmm.
always say, don't listen to the tabloids and all this sensationalism crap. He used to always say, believe what I tell you, you know.
Hmm.
And but yeah, speaking of that comedian, that guy is a real shitbag. And what's so ugly and disgusting about him is that on Instagram, he posts the most disgusting jokes about Michael. He would say dumb shit like Black Michael Jackson was the best. I don't know who this guy was. I'm like, you stupid idiot. This man had a skin disease. He had lupus. He had two health conditions that was out of his control. He was not trying to be white. But that's what happened when people do not read. They do not do their research. And you know what's funny? I love it when the young generation of fans, especially the ones who became fans after Michael died, try to tell you something. Oh, those are my favorites.
Yes.
You know, those are my favorites. And, you know, I'm like, you guys need to go back and maybe need to read a little. He had two skin health disorders he had no control of. He was not trying to be white. Michael was a proud Black American. He was
And that
proud of
was
his
that was
heritage.
evident in his music and his videos. It was
Absolutely.
evident.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
anyone, who would like to say that he wasn't proud of it, look at his music. How could this man not be proud of his heritage? I was watching, I did do a video on this. Louis Farrakhan
Hmm.
was speaking on Michael, and he was saying that Michael spoke to Steven Spielberg about trying to get a film in which not the typical black people being depicted as slaves, but he wanted to show royalty in the African community from way back when, and Spielberg didn't want to.
Yes. I
So
remember.
that's when Michael came up with Remember the Time,
Yes. I remember that.
because he was trying to get people to produce a film and it just wasn't happening. And even though Michael's best friend Elizabeth Taylor, she played as Cleopatra, but Michael knew the truth and was saying, you know what, even though, this is my friend and she, played this character, I know the truth of my heritage and I want to display that.
Right. Exactly.
So and then when he had the press conference, I can never remember what year it was in, but he had the conference where he was talking about um how the music industry and how Hollywood is trying to, not even trying to, but is stripping away black culture and saying that it belongs to someone else. And he was talking about, Elvis stealing things, and just about how, break dancing and a whole bunch of different types of dancing stem from black art. It stems from black people. And the fact that, Hollywood and the music industry is trying to say otherwise, we have to take that back. And
Right.
anyone who does not believe that Michael was proud of his heritage and proud of his blackness, if you believe that that's true, go and find that video. I'll link it in the description, and it'll totally change your mind.
Yes, it will.
And he was
Definitely
telling us,
will.
to go back to your history books and see how much that they're lying and what they're telling you is not true. And speaking of history, I find it very funny that your niece's teacher was going off about how your niece shouldn't have done her project or should not do a project on Michael Jackson, when what are they teaching our kids about Christopher Columbus?
Hello.
Are they teaching our kids that he was going around, raping women, just, him and his crew, and the people after him? It all started with him.
Yes, it did.
So
It
are
really
we
did.
are we not going to talk about that? And they're
Right.
still teaching about him. I remember when I was younger, we were taught that Christopher Columbus was a hero.
Yes, of course.
But, because it doesn't fit the narrative that they want, they're not going to teach our kids that. And that's
Not at
another
all.
thing that we have to do. We have to teach our kids their history as well. As black people, black people, just people of color in general, need to teach their kids about their history, because if you're going to send your kid to public school, because not everyone can afford to take their kid to private school or can afford to just homeschool their children. But if you're going
Hmm.
to send your kids to public school, absolutely, you need to do some teaching at home as well.
Absolutely.
Because not everything that they're teaching our kids is the truth. And I remember when I was in high school, I remember, because majority of my time in school, from preschool up until 8th grade, I went to school with majority black kids, and majority of these kids were of Caribbean descent, and so am I. And
Mhm.
so up until when I went to ninth grade, I went to a different, most of my school where I went to from preschool to eighth grade was pretty much in the same area. And then ninth grade, I went to a different area for school up until 12th grade. And I met people from a whole bunch of different backgrounds. And a lot of the kids are white.
Mhm.
Now, I remember asking my teacher, and I said, hey, me and my friend went up to her and was like, why aren't we being taught Black history? And I think I was in about 11th grade when I asked this. I was like, why aren't we being taught Black history? And she was just like, why don't you talk to your teachers? Maybe they can implement some Black history into the curriculum, which didn't sit well with me. It's kind of like, well, why do I have to ask my teacher, or why should I, try to convince my teacher to put Black history in the curriculum when it should be in there?
That's right.
So I remember I kept asking her, and then one day she took me and my friend aside, and she was like, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you." And she's a woman of color as well. She's Puerto Rican.
Okay.
Um, she's clearly Latina, and she was just like, "You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. You keep asking me, and I can never really, I can't keep pushing you off and giving you the runaround. I'm gonna tell you the truth." So I'm like, "Okay, tell me the truth." So she says, the history and what you're being taught in school is based off of the demographics of the school.
Wow.
And I'm just like, huh? And then she's like, yeah. So what you're being taught is basically based off of the demographic of the school. What color kids do you mostly see here? And I'm like, white. And she would say, okay, so what are you learning? And I'm like, I'm learning about European stuff. I'm learning about, um, you know, just that type of stuff. And she's just saying exactly, and that's why, because majority of this school is white. And I was just in complete shock, because I was not used to somebody telling me, I knew of racism, and that was the first time that I understood what what's the word that I'm looking for? Gosh, it just lost me. Institutionalized racism was. That's when I figured out what that was. And it just, I was in complete shock. I was just like, wow, like this is crazy that I'm not being taught something because my school is not a reflection of that.
And I'm gonna stop you right there. You know what this? You know what this remind me of? This remind me of one of MJ songs. They don't really care about us.
Mhm.
You know that really, that song really is the truth, and it really says a lot. They don't really care about us,
They don't.
and it's sad. It really and truly is sad.
Absolutely.
Really is sad.
And
I mean, mm.
you can continue.
No, what I'm saying is it's just shocking because I mean, wow. I mean, I think I agree with you on that because if I was there and if a teacher told me something like that, you best believe I would have been so angry and I probably would have raised my eyebrows high as the sky. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's why I try
Mhm.
to tell people why they think racism is dead. No, it is not.
It isn't.
It is not. It is still very much alive. Refer back to Michael's song. They don't really care about us. That song, that right there explains the whole situation of what that song is talking about because they don't really care about us.
And now people are singing that song from the rooftops. Isn't that funny?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they
It's
are.
it's so crazy to me. And you know how I knew what that teacher was saying was the absolute truth?
Hmm.
So years later, now I work at that school. And what I find funny is that the demographics of Black kids, being added to the student body has increased. And guess what they're learning now? More Black history has been implemented into the plan. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, would you look at that? Mm, mm, mm,
It's
mm.
it's amazing. Not even 10 years later, I come back and I work here, and it's like everybody's pro-Black. Everybody wants to teach Black studies, and I'm just like, where was this when I was in school?
Exactly.
This is craziness. One of the teachers, she's actually teaching. I don't know if you know this story. It's one of my favorites, "The Bluest Eye" by
That
Toni
sounds good.
Morrison.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So if any of my viewers don't know what that book is about, it's about this black girl named Pecola, and she is in foster care system, and she goes to live with another family who, they're black, and she believes that her life would be better if she had blue eyes, and she feels that she would be beautiful if she had blue eyes. And it is the most heartbreaking and just heart-wrenching stories that you could ever read. I recommend it. It's really good, but they're even teaching these kids about that, and I was just in complete shock. I'm just like, wow, like this is really crazy. When I was in school, um, including myself, literally in my grade, all my female friends were black, and we were the only black girls in my whole entire class, and it was me. I'd say it was about 4 or 5 of us,
Mhm.
4 or 5 black girls. Imagine that graduated in the graduating class. There was only about 5 of us,
Wow.
and there wasn't many black boys either. I want to say in total there was probably about 12 black students out of the whole graduating class. I don't want to be, I want to say it's around 12, but I know it was definitely no more than 20. It was just us. So
Wow.
now there's way more black kids in the school, and they're teaching this. And I'm just like, this is how I know that it's truth. And it really told me that when my kids are in school, I'm going to teach them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, because who knows what the future holds. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to send them to private school, or if I'm going to homeschool. But if I definitely do send them to public school, I also do want to teach them their history on the side as well. And I feel everybody should do that. No matter if you're black
Right.
or white, there needs to be a balance of what your kids learn at school and what they learn at home, because
I
they can't
agree.
just go around believing that everything that they learn in school is 100% fact, because
That's
there's
true.
also and there's also a bias. There's also an influence in the way that the teacher is teaching that also like creates some sort of influence on how your child is going to think. So I think
That's
that's
true.
that's very important that we do our job as parents at home.
Yes,
So
it is.
back to your niece. I just wanted to ask you, how is your niece now? How's she handling everything? Like, has this affect her in any way?
No, not really. I talked to her the other day. She is doing pretty good. She's okay, but I'm still trying to protect her and shield her from all this nonsense, all this
Mhm.
foolishness that people are saying about Michael. I know she had asked me the other day about that documentary. I said, don't, I said, I don't even want you watching that. I said, don't even watch that. It's
Absolutely not.
nothing but garbage. It's trash. I
Not
said, if
even just that,
anybody,
I don't feel she's old enough to even sit there and watch that either, because I know I was absolutely disgusted with the things that I was hearing. So I can't
yes,
imagine a child's ears hearing that. That in itself is raping them of their innocence. So
absolutely,
I wouldn't
absolutely.
even. Mm-mm.
No, absolutely. So I told her, I said, if anybody brings that mess to your face, tell them you don't want to hear about it and tell them they should leave you alone and get out of your face. You don't need to be watching that. It's trash. It's not for children. It's foolishness. It's garbage. Number
Mhm.
one, that film, I don't even want to call it a film. I don't know what that was. It shouldn't have even been created first and foremost. But what these two scumbags did, they waited until after almost 11 years to
Mhm.
come out with this, knowing that Michael cannot defend himself. That's the only reason why they're doing it, is to get his money. And I tell you what, them bastards won't get a damn dime.
They won't.
They won't get a damn dime. A
I
damn dime.
I don't. That whole thing was a joke. I waited a long time for me to even watch part one. I couldn't find part two nowhere, and I think that was God's way of saying you don't need to watch this crap. You don't need to watch it because
Yeah.
I watched the first part, and the things that I was hearing just had me wanting to throw up. I can't tell you how many times I had to pause and take a walk.
Oh yeah, it's very disgusting. That is the most disgusting trash I have ever heard. I mean, literally, my appetite was just ruined. I said, no, I don't want nothing else to eat.
You
It
can't
was
even
just
eat and watch
disgusting.
that thing.
No,
It's
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 disgusting.
it's nasty. And you know what's the crazy part is that I've heard I've watched documentaries where people are talking about being attacked or assaulted, and I've never, ever heard anything to that degree. I've
Me either.
never heard anything, never. Like the way that they were talking, you would expect these kids to be hunching over and walking all funny by the way that they was describing how they were being raped.
Thank you.
I never heard of something like that before in my life.
Me
Um,
neither.
I don't know if you know who Tisha Campbell is. She played as Gina from Martin.
Yes, I know her very well.
So she was talking about her own story of her being raped by, I believe she said it was a family friend or a cousin. I don't remember what she said, but
Uh
she
huh.
was talking about it. And first of all, no way that thing wasn't even 20 minutes. I don't remember how long that video was. Maybe it was 7 minutes. I don't remember. But in no way in hell it took 4 hours for her to explain what happened to her. And she told that story. And when she was talking about it, you could see her just becoming that little girl that was trying to defend herself, trying to protect herself. She was so just lost in telling that story because the trauma, the
Yeah.
situation was replaying in her mind again, and you could just see her freezing and trying
Yeah.
to tell the story. These boys was having a field day. Not even these boys, these men were having a field day telling this story.
Absolutely. And that's what goes to show me. Does it really take 4 hours for you to discuss if your ass was abused or not?
Absolutely not.
It don't take 4 hours for that. Come on. Anybody with common sense. No, it does not take 4 hours to say that you were abused. That right there should have been a red flag. But again, you can't tell these motherfuckers nothing. They
You
want to
can't.
argue you down. They want to
Mm,
argue you down. Well, if you look at this, you want to look at MJ to say bullshit. That is a lie. That whole
I,
documentary is nothing but a lie.
it's craziness to me because you know what? That a lot of people who watch this and agree with it, they don't know, they haven't heard the facts. They didn't know the facts beforehand. Because if you know the facts beforehand, there was no way that this documentary would have made you even think twice about whether or not that this was true. There was no way. Because you know what? There's a lot of things that people don't realize is that the facts don't align with their stories. Okay?
Right, right.
What they were saying, first of all, the thing that got me was Mama Safe Chuck. She over here talking about she danced when she figured out that Michael was dead and that he couldn't hurt
Oh,
any more children. And it's kind of like, well, your son didn't divulge this information to you until 2013, I believe. So how is it that you danced 4 years later? I'm telling you, these people are time travelers. Time
you know,
travelers. Because how?
when I found out that she got up and danced after Michael died, that really hurt me. So, I mean, you're no better than the rest of the haters that say Michael's grave need to be pissed on. You know, that is just low down and pure evil.
That is evil. But guess what? She was lying.
Of
Because
course
there's
she
no way,
was.
because you didn't know, because your son didn't come up to you and tell you anything about these allegations until 4 years after Michael had passed. So how is it that when he died that you danced and saying he couldn't hurt any more children? You didn't, your son didn't come up to you with this information yet. You're just
Exactly.
saying it for the cameras. You know what I'm saying?
Another red
And
flag.
and
Yes.
then what's her name? Robson, his mama over there talking a whole bunch of foolishness. And there's a radio interview that she did in, I believe, 2011, where
Hmm.
she was talking about how she chased Michael down and trying to find him. And when she came out to the US to live and things like that. But they want to make this whole film about the chase, the, pursuing, and how he was looking for these kids and all these other things, when come to find out that that's not what it was at all. And you even said it in depositions that that's not even what it was.
Right,
Before
exactly.
beforehand, we're talking about in 93, and we're talking about 2005. You said these things that, oh no, I looked for him. I try to keep in contact with him because I wanted my son to have a better life. I wanted him to become famous. It was you.
Yeah,
But they're
yeah,
making it out to be something else. And this is where I keep telling people, you need to do your research before you listen to anything. And I'm not even just talking about MJ, I'm talking about in life. You need to
right,
do your
period.
research before you start agreeing to terms of situations. Because what I'm seeing happening with him, Michael's legacy is probably one of the most confusing things to me. And why I say confusing, because I've never seen somebody go through so many ups and downs, people love him, people hate him, people love. It makes no sense.
None
It
whatsoever.
makes no sense. How about '05? Everybody, obviously the fans love him, but we having the people who turned and they hate him. And then when he died, they love him again, and he's being praised everywhere.
Yeah,
We not gonna talk about the Staples Center memorial, how all these people came together, who most likely these people turned on this man, turned on him, stabbed him in the back, showing up to his, memorial service, everybody loving him again. And then now, and even, what I find that's funny is that
uh,
even when Robson initially first came out, people weren't listening to him, right? But then when this film comes out, all of a sudden, because it's on a film, it's believable.
right,
And that
right.
makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. But again, when you try to talk to people about this, they don't want to believe it. They want to argue you up and down. Well, watch the film. I'm like, so you think I'm going to believe a 4 hour film of two people who have changed their story drastically so many times? I don't think so.
Hmm.
And what really bothers me is that people, well, let me just say so-called fans who claim that were fans of MJ for many years. Like I had talked to an ex fan months ago where she said after she had watched the Leaving Neverland documentary, she got rid of all her MJ collection. She broke all his CDs in half. Even the picture that she had someone take of her and him when she met him, she ripped that up. And I said, well, if you did all that, you wasn't a fan. You wasn't a fan from the beginning.
Hmm.
You wasn't a fan from the beginning. You broke all his CDs in half, and then the picture that you took with him, you destroyed that. Do
And
you
let's
realize
and let's
how many people have loved to be in your shoes to have met that man, myself included? I have always wanted to meet MJ since I was a little girl. I have always wanted to see him live in concert. I will never get that opportunity. But you had that opportunity. You got a picture with him. And now after this garbage ass documentary came out that
exactly.
you all of a sudden believe now because you seen two assholes lying who changed their story, you decide to believe them and not conduct your own research to
Hmm.
destroy all your collection.
And let's make this clear to everybody, okay, that it's not even the fact, because if it was, this is the thing, if it was proven that these things were true, you don't have to be a fan anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was proven that these things were true. But the argument is this, that you're basing your beliefs off of this documentary, excuse me, you're basing your beliefs off of this film, and then that's
Mm-hmm.
when you decide that you're gonna believe it. That's where the problem lies.
Right.
That is where the problem lies, because this is me. I don't believe, I'm not going to be a fan of anybody who does things like that. But what
Me
I'm
neither.
not going to do is I'm not going to believe something off of word of mouth from just two, you know what I'm saying? Especially when these people keep changing up their stories countless times. That
Yes.
even a judge was like, "You know what? I can't deal with this no more. This is done. I'm not going to listen to this anymore." Because it was proven that there was a lot of just deceit, deceitfulness, and just a lot of just sneakiness happening
Yeah, it
behind
was.
this whole thing. So you need to tell. Listen, this is my thing. If it's the truth, you ain't got to. You don't have to lie. You don't have to try to remember something, because truth is truth.
Right.
That's it. You don't have to go and ask your mama, how did this happen, and all of that doesn't have to happen. And that's the problem that I have, especially with Wade's story, that people don't realize, is that why did he need to go and email his mom and ask his mom a bunch of questions to try to make his story look believable? Because if something happened to you, you don't have to go and ask your mom something.
That's right.
Because what your mom, first of all, your mom wasn't there when things were allegedly happening to you. So I'm not understanding why you had to go to your mom and ask her anything. Because all she was doing was basically just telling you how you met. So what does that have to do with your actual story of abuse? It has nothing to do with it.
No, just a bunch of lies.
You're
Lies,
just
lies.
exactly, you're trying to cover your lies with truth. That's what he was trying to do. But once truth get, touched by lies, the lies is gonna reveal itself. And the
Yes,
lies
it
did
is.
reveal itself. And that's why the judge was like, you know what? Case dismissed, I'm not hearing this no more.
Yeah,
So now the fact that these two idiots come back and try to do this again, and that's the thing that people don't realize, is that they they came back after this film was put out there. And I find it very funny that at Sundance, that they aired this documentary at Sundance, and at the same time they had the Harvey Weinstein one, and I heard that Harvey Weinstein one was empty
that's what
compared
I heard
to
too.
the Michael one. I heard it was empty and nobody was talking about it.
Of course not.
And it's always happening. Cause look at the order that everything happened. It was R. Kelly. Then they try to get Chris Brown in that same month, because the R. Kelly doc, and I'm not even gonna talk too much about R. Kelly because I ain't got nothing to say about that. But that man is nasty. But the R. Kelly one
Disgusting.
came out. Then probably about a week later, that's when they try to get Chris Brown on something. Some girl had came out and said Chris Brown did something to her. I think it was in France. Chris Brown was held for a little while, and then he was released, and then that whole thing turned out to be a lie. And
Hmm.
then it was MJ right after. So I'm like, you don't see, how does anybody not see what's happening?
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's clearly right in front of our eyes, but again, people fail to see it. They fail to realize it.
it makes me just want to tie, because I want to tie in the Me Too movement a little bit into this,
Hmm.
because while the Me Too movement is supposed to help women who were abused in the workplace or just anywhere, it's supposed to help women, but I feel like what it has done is just has been a witch hunt after black men.
And it has.
And that's all that it's doing, because look at what's happening, especially I don't I don't call myself a feminist at all, okay? Because I believe in women's rights, I believe in men's rights, I believe in people's rights. That's what I believe in. But what I've noticed about the feminist movement is that it's become way farther than, women's rights. It's solely about white women's rights.
Hmm.
And that's what I've been seeing with this whole feminist movement and how it ties into Me Too. Because look at what's been happening. Look at how many black women have been sexually assaulted and attacked. Do you see anybody coming out and speaking out against that?
No, not at all.
No, but these white women for sure, yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, I
So
do.
this is the problem, is that this movement is not designed to help black women, and it's really to attack not just only men, but black men in particular have been put on the forefront and has been put as, the poster of, this is what, an attacker or an abuser looks like. And it's
Yeah,
and it's unfair.
it's very unfair.
I don't like it at all. It's really just been bugging me. I try to have this conversation with people about how what's been happening with this whole Me Too situation, because I'll give you an example. Trump was out here talking about grabbing women by their private areas. Where was
Mhm.
that? Where was the outrage for that?
It wasn't none.
People were talking about it, but there was no outrage. There wasn't no he needs to be removed from presidency. We need no. It was none of that.
No.
But when it's a somebody accusing, especially if it's a white woman accusing a black man of something, and it's even better if it's a black woman going against a black man. Oh yeah, it's gonna be this person got to go to jail. This person, and this is my thing. Before anyone says, I would want black men to not get reprimanded. No, if you did the time, the crime, you got to do the time. I'm absolutely for it. But what we're not going to do is that we're not going to make it unbalanced, and we're not going to make it seem like black men are the only men who are doing these things when it's absolutely not true.
Absolutely.
So something has to be done about that, and that's what the media wants us to believe, is that black men are the face of just deviance, and that's that has to come to a stop.
Yes, it does. I agree with you. It's too much. It's just ridiculous, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are our black men are the only ones that's getting the heat from this? You mean to tell me just black men only do this?
It's
Doesn't make any
craziness.
sense.
And it's funny, this whole situation with your niece reminds me of Kobe. God
Yes.
says so, was put into a similar situation where he was accused of raping a woman, and the whole situation just seemed to go away after the settlement.
Mhm.
And he was beloved, Kobe again. And not to say that he shouldn't have been, but this is what I'm talking about with the ups and downs, right? So he dies. What happens? This is when people want to play court and want to, rehash and bring up these allegations again. Why weren't these allegations brought back up when he was alive? I don't know.
There you go.
It's always when somebody dies, that's when we want to debate on whether or not they were a good human being or not. And it's really sickening, because you know what, this man has done a lot for the sports community, for the black community. This man has done a lot, and the fact that he wasn't even proven guilty of what he was being accused of, and then when he dies, that's when we got to be like, you know what, because he was accused, we have to automatically believe that he did these things.
Mhm.
Why should that be the case? Because I'm pretty sure if this was somebody that you loved, if this was one of your family members, you would not want that to be their legacy. You wouldn't want them to die and be like, oh, somebody accused my grandfather of rape, so I gotta believe that he's a rapist. Does that make any type of sense?
Not at all.
It doesn't make any sense. And there's like I mentioned before on this channel that I do work in education, and I've heard the most ignorant things come out of supposedly educated people.
Mhm.
There's a teacher who, we were discussing kind of here, like, the same situation with heroes, and when people die, like the legacy that they leave. And they were discussing Gandhi, and they're learning about Gandhi, and learning that although Gandhi was trying to gain independence for India, at the same time he had a lot of misogynistic and a lot of racist beliefs. And the kids were reading about that. And then this is when the teacher decided that she wanted to talk about Kobe. What does Kobe have? How does Kobe have anything to do with what these kids are learning about right now? And that was literally probably a week after his passing. And the teacher wants to talk about that. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm just thinking, what does somebody who was proven to be racist, who was proven to be misogynistic and just downright dirty, what does his beliefs have to do with Kobe? And she was saying, some people believe that Kobe's a hero, while some people believe that he's a rapist. And I'm just sitting there in just complete disbelief. Mind you, these kids that she's teaching, were born in 2003, 2004. A lot of these, this is when the case actually just happened, when they were born. A lot of these kids don't know the facts behind that.
No, they don't.
So the fact that you're just opening your mouth and then you just putting out, some people think he's a hero, some people think he's a rapist. You didn't give any context to the situation at all. So now you having these kids sitting there just looking at. I've never seen so much confusion in my life. All these kids are looking at each other like, huh?
See, see what
And
I'm
I'm
saying?
and that's a problem because first of all, for one, Kobe was not proven to be a rapist. Then two, you didn't give the kids any context. So now they're just sitting here like, wait, Kobe's a rapist or was a rapist. Everyone's just look. The kids were just. I was just sitting there just mortified. So I'm like, that is not how you teach.
No, it's not.
So now, everybody, I'm hearing the kids whispering, wait, what did Kobe do? This is when the cell phones come out and everyone's typing now, trying to figure out what this teacher is talking about. So I remember I was talking to my coworker and I'm telling him what the teacher had just said. And he was telling me that there was a principal, and I had to do my research on this before I came and spoke to you about it. But there was a principal in Washington State who had made a comment on Facebook about Kobe, basically saying that his death was his karma for raping his accuser.
And and I'm gonna tell you something. That comment came from a girl I went to school with, and I cannot tell you so many people went after her about that, including myself.
It's ridiculous. That principal made that comment, and a lot of people went after her. She had to take a leave of absence
Hmm.
and just decided that she was going to resign,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
rightfully so, because why would you make a comment like that?
exactly.
You're supposed to be leading a school. You're supposed to be, the representation of your school, of education in general. That's what you're supposed to be. Yet you're basing your opinion off of what? Off of nothing. An opinion is an opinion is Kobe was the greatest player of all time versus Kobe wasn't the greatest, ball player of all time. That's an opinion. But
Right.
you're stating how you feel off of what, I don't know, and trying to make it a fact. And that is dangerous. You're having, other people believe, especially kids, believe that not to believe also in our justice system.
Hmm.
While yes, our justice system does screw up a lot of the times and put people behind bars that don't deserve to be behind bars and let people go who don't deserve it. But this situation was a very unique situation. And it was proven that, and it wasn't proven that this man, raped this woman. And the woman just went off with the money and then never heard from again. I don't even know what this woman looks like.
I don't either.
I don't think I don't say anybody, but I think a lot of people can say that they don't even know what this woman looks like. And what does that say to you? So,
Hmm.
like, come on, like we as a society, like we got to do better.
We do need to do better. I agree with you because it's like people in this day and time, they're like getting facts and opinions mixed up together, which doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense. The same thing with MJ.
Mhm.
You know, it's just ridiculous. It's like you cannot win with these people. You know, and folks are going to believe what they want to believe. But what I don't, the thing that pisses me off is that he has been proven innocent. He's been proven not guilty, but you
Right.
still want to base your facts on a 4 hour fake ass documentary. You want to keep talking about how he paid the family in 9305 to keep their mouth shut. He did not pay nobody to keep their mouth closed. I wish people would stop saying that.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's another big thing that's misinformation is that he paid people to keep their mouth closed.
No, he
When
did not.
that's not even what it was. The He didn't pay. There was nowhere in the contract. It doesn't say admitted to any wrongdoing, and there was no writing to any to any people having to keep their mouth closed. None of that happened.
No, it did not. But
And the
again,
and the fact that, the Chandlers didn't want to pursue a criminal case speaks volumes as well.
right, another red flag.
I don't know how
Another red
people are
flag.
missing. These people are missing these things. I don't even want to say missing it because it gets to the point now where it's like you're ignoring the flags.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yep, they
it's
are.
it's sad. I wanted to ask you because you did mention that your niece was asking you about the allegations. Like, so did she have like no prior knowledge to any allegations before this report or before the situation happened?
No, she didn't have any prior knowledge about that because I didn't
Mm,
want to go into detail about those allegations because I think that she's still a child,
right.
so I was trying to find like a better way of explaining it to her without telling her so much. But I did tell her that he is not a bad person. He did not do those things. It was just all lies to get his money, which in fact it was. The thing was Michael was too trustworthy. He trusted a lot of people. What people don't understand, Michael had a big heart. He was loving, he was caring, he helped anyone in need. And it's so sad that he was used. People that he thought were really his friends, he thought that were there for him, lied on him, betrayed him, threw him under the bus. I
Mhm.
mean, the
You
world really caused a lot of stress on him. I mean, anybody with common sense can tell during his last days that he was not well.
you know what's so funny about you saying, and it literally just popped into my head because a lot of people don't like to hear that he was a very trusting person.
Hmm.
Um, First of all, I feel like once he trusted you, he trusted you. You know what I mean? And it was evident pretty much even in his circle, his mostly like his management and things like that. Like, look how long Frank DeLeo was around. A long
Yes.
time. Then something happened, I don't know what, to where he wasn't around anymore. But then during his final days, Frank DeLeo was back again. You get what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, I feel like he he kept his circle tight, but also at the same time, like, he just kept looking for people to trust. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, and I feel like it's kind of sad that it's kind of like he's battling on whether or not should I trust you or should I not trust you. And then I feel like he didn't really fully grasp or like um understand that you have to trust people to a limit. And that's an issue with people who are lonely. A lot of
right.
people who are lonely, they don't really understand, or not really understand, but they don't really set limits for people that enter their lives because they're lonely. So it's kind of like, okay, you want to be around all the time. I'm lonely, so I'm going to let you be around all the time. Because I
Hmm.
don't want you to go, I'm going to do what makes you happy.
Right.
And it's sad, and that's the thing. Everybody who knew him said that about him.
Hmm.
Everybody who knew him. Like
Yeah.
what like Chris Tucker even said it. He said, "Mike, I like your TV." Michael, "Oh, you want it? You want to have it?" Kind of thing. It's kind of like that kid who wants to have a bunch of friends, and it's like, "I'll give you everything, even the clothes off my back, just so you could be my friend or stay my friend."
Yeah, that was
And
just
even though he
just
has
what it
a
was.
giving, he definitely did have giving nature, but I feel like his kind of what he was doing was in kind of desperation to keep people around. Like, I'll
Yeah,
give
I
you
do.
anything because
Yeah, I do
I
agree with some
yeah,
stories.
yeah, because it's kind of like I really feel like he was lonely because if you hear the story, the only thing that I could say from the documentaries, why I keep calling it that, from the film, what I could say was true is the fact that he did enjoy having these people around because he felt that there was nobody really in his corner, and they took advantage of that.
They did. They really did. They took Michael's kindness for weakness, and that really makes me sad. It had got to the point where I felt so bad for him. All he wanted was someone to, to have a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to cry on, things of that nature.
Mhm.
All he really wanted was real, true, honest friends.
Mhm.
But I could probably count on my hands and toes how many loyal friends he had, and that ain't many because so many people stabbed him in the back, betrayed him, threw him under the bus. And people do not realize Michael was a very sensitive man, but at the same time, he was human and he had feelings.
Mhm.
And it's just like how you have a friend who you thought y'all were so close and they go behind your back and stab you in the back.
Mhm.
That's some hurtful stuff. I mean, it's so painful. It feels like a machete to the heart. I myself have been betrayed. I have been thrown under the bus. That shit does not feel good.
Mhm.
That does not feel good. And when I look at him, it brings tears to my eyes because I feel so bad for him. All he ever wanted was to be loved, was to be cared for. That's all he wanted. He had gone through so much stuff with people lying on him that I really and honestly believe he suffered from PTSD.
Oh, absolutely.
I really believe
Absolutely.
that. I really believe that. And that's another thing that really gets me is like I wish I had the opportunity to meet Michael because I would have just ran to him. I would have gave him the biggest bear hug ever. And I would have told him, I was like, Michael, hold your head up. It's gonna be all right. That's what I would have told him. I said, you keep your head up. It's going to be all right. But he didn't have nobody to tell him that. I don't know if you've seen an interview where Karen Faye, Michael Bush, and Dennis Tompkins, I think, where they was talking about how they had to get him dressed for his
Mhm.
memorial to put him in the coffin.
I didn't see that. Mm-mm.
Oh my God. When you watch that, you have to guard your heart because I had tears flowing. And one thing that Karen Faye said
You
that
said
made
it
me,
was Karen Faye and who else?
his costume designers, Michael Bush and Dennis
Michael Bush.
Tompkins,
Okay. Okay.
and they was talking about how they had to get him dressed for his memorial. They literally got him dressed and placed him in his own coffin. And Karen Faye was talking about while he was trying to get ready to do the This Is It tour that Michael was afraid. He was afraid and he worried because he did not know how the world was going to accept him after everything he has been through. So many people lied on him and betrayed him. He
Right.
was really scared.
Right.
And I bet he never would have thought in a million years that a world he cared so deeply about, that did a lot for people, that a world would treat him like that. And I'm sorry
Mhm.
to say, we did not deserve Michael. Yes, I'm saying it. We did not deserve him. The world treated him like absolute shit. And I don't care if anybody disagrees with me. The world mistreated him. Period.
I agree.
Period.
I agree. I totally. You know what? I Everything that you just said just really put a lot of things into perspective for me. I always did believe that the world really didn't deserve him and they did treat him like crap. Really did treat him like shit. And
Yes.
it was and the funny thing to me is what I didn't notice when I was younger watching his interview with Oprah.
Oh, God.
And now that I rewatched this as an adult and after, watching this um after this whole situation, what I will say is that Oprah, her intentions were clear to me after rewatching that whole thing. She didn't give a damn about Michael. She was not his friend. People keep saying that they were friends. I never believed for a minute that they were friends.
No, they
I
wasn't.
never thought that they were friends. I just thought that he was doing her a favor. She was doing, in a sense, kind of like, one hand washes the other kind of situation. You know what I mean? But at least what I thought in the beginning is that they may not have been friends, but there should have been respect. That's what
Absolutely.
I thought for the most part was that I never believed that they were friends, but I thought that there was some sort of respect between them. But after rewatching everything all over again, Her intentions were very much apparent to me, especially when she asked him the question about him being a virgin. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, this isn't journalism.
Not at all.
This is clearly not journalism, because how could you ask, I believe he was 36 at the time. How could
He
you
was
ask a man that? I'm
a grown
confused.
ass man at that.
You're asking a grown man that, not even just that, even if it was a woman, what is the point of you asking this question? What purpose does that serve? How is this journalism? I don't understand.
That wasn't journalism.
After watching it, yes, a lot of questions were answered, but when it got to that question, I was just like, okay, this is, you took that opportunity to kind of to embarrass him, and he was embarrassed.
He was
He
very embarrassed.
he was just like, why would you ask? Like he's just kind of like, why would you ask me that? And then he really handled it like a gentleman and was just like, I'm a gentleman. That's what I am.
Hey,
Because especially from, his upbringing as a Jehovah's Witness, this is not something that we talk about in front of people.
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? So knowing his upbringing, I don't really understand, why did you feel that it was necessary to add that question to the interview? And I feel like that was another reason why he was embarrassed. It's kind of like, my family is watching this. Like it's kind of like, I don't, he could have not been, he could have been, it doesn't matter. But the point is that you're asking me about my sex life on TV.
Right. That was disrespectful.
It was disrespectful. So that's when I knew her MO. I knew that she took that opportunity to be like, you know what? I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna get mine. That's what she wanted to do. And then after that interview, she skyrocketed.
She sure did. She sure did. But
But
you
will she ever give thanks? Will she ever, give credit where credit is due as to why she got so high? She won't
know,
do
no, not
that.
at all. No, not at all. And let me just say this, I lost all respect for Oprah after she invited those two idiots on her show to talk about that damn Leaving Neverland documentary. I'm like, how in the hell could you just throw him under the bus like that? This man invited you into his home. After he died, his mother invited you into her home. While you sitting
Mhm.
there, you comforting her and shit. And now you invited these two bastards on your show, and now you believe in them. You are fake. You are a snake and a fake, Oprah. You threw this man under the bus. You betrayed him and you stabbed him in the back just like the rest of them. You ain't shit just like the rest of the people.
Mhm.
So yeah, I lost all respect for her. Then
Oh, oh
uh,
yeah. I can't even hear her name no more. I don't even want to hear nothing about her. When people start saying something about Oprah, I'm just like, yeah.
mm-mm,
Next
no,
topic. I have nothing to say
exactly.
about that woman, because she another thing. Not just she don't care about Michael. She don't care about black men. Period.
No, she don't.
She doesn't care. Look how long. I don't even know if she with Stedman anymore. She was with that man for how long? Never got
Years.
married. Never got married.
No, she didn't.
And then on top of that, every chance you have to bash on black men, you did it. Cause look what
Mm-hmm.
with Russell Simmons, try to do the
Mm-hmm.
same thing to him. Allegations was brought up on him, and she tried to, be behind a project that's against Russell Simmons. But when these allegations were going on, or after they surfaced, you ain't have no problem interviewing him, sitting
Sure
with him,
did.
asking him questions. And that's what I'm talking about, when people do things that is supposed to benefit them. She only did it because it benefited her. Like I said, people love these people to death, and then out of nowhere you hate them for what reason, I don't understand. All of it just doesn't. It's just is ridiculous to me. I've honestly, I've had enough of this whole situation. I honestly, with Michael's case, I just want this whole the trial, whatever this thing gonna be, this case to just be done with. I'm just
I
ready
do
to hear
too.
the words of "you ain't getting shit," and then for it to be done with. Cause
I do
I'm done.
too.
I'm done. I'm done.
Because this has been a really, really long journey. It's like we're in World War III. that we're steady fighting against, you know, fighting to prove Michael's innocence. We already know that he's innocent, but when you have two bastards out there that's trying to get money from his estate because they're lying, and then you have folks out here believing it, it has really become tiresome. No, I will
Hmm.
never stop defending Michael. I will always defend him until the Lord calls me home. But this here has gotten out of hand. Has gotten
It
out of
really
hand.
has. And
Really has gotten out of hand.
I have people who would ask me, well, why do I defend him so hard and whatever, whatever. And no, it's not because of his music. No, it's not because of his dancing. No, it's not because of his fashion or whatever people would like to think or say. If we don't do this, then what do we say about ourselves? What are we
Hmm.
saying about the future of our kids and their kids, especially as Black people? What are we saying if we don't do this? What are we
Right.
saying? What are we, succumbing to if we don't do this? We're succumbing to we already are under attack. Every time we out on the street, we gotta look back on, look back and
Look on our
constantly
shoulder.
be on, yeah, look over your shoulder and constantly have to be on guard. But this is about dignity. This is what this whole thing is about. And it's
Yes.
about legacy. How is it that we have somebody who is named greatest entertainer of all time, who is not a white person, who is a Black person? They cannot stand that. And we have to let our kids know and our kids know that we are more than just we were more than just slaves, more than just, your ordinary everyday worker. No, we've done things. We've
Right.
done things for this world. And the fact that we have people who are saying otherwise, are saying that no, Black people are criminals, Black people are deviants, Black people do this and do that. No, that's not what we are. Because the more and more that they keep saying it and we allow them to say it, we become that.
Yes,
And
we do.
there's no way that I'm gonna sit back and let this go by. It's unfair. What happening to this man is more than just a personal attack on him. It's an attack on Black people in general. This is what
That's
that
right.
is. Okay,
That's
because
right.
look at how many of white heroes there are out there that have done some terrible shit that they won't ever keep bashing them for, or won't well, basically, like, they just it's okay for them to do that.
Right. They never talk about them or the stuff that they've done. It's always attack on us colored people.
And that's what I'm saying. It's always about it's it's really just about making themselves look better and making us look like nothing. And I'm tired of it. I am so tired of it. I In this whole situation, the fact that I've been fighting this hard, it makes me fight hard for myself,
Yeah.
because right now I'm in school, and I go to a school where the population is a Jewish school. And my professor, I wrote a paper. Um we read some story. We It's a true story. It's in our textbooks, and it's this Black man who wrote an op-ed about how he rides a train, and this was written in 2010. So he rides a train, and he feels that, no, he goes from New York City to Rhode Island, and he
Okay.
does this twice a week, I believe. And he says that every time he gets on the train, nobody sits next to him. So he was saying that he feels that this 4-hour ride to and from, he feels that the reason why nobody sits next to him is because he's a Black man. So now my class is a very small class. Um there's a majority of the class, I could say, is of color, and we agreed with him that the reason why nobody sits next to him on the bus is because he's Black. Now my professor was saying that that's kind of hard to prove. So we were saying, yes, it's hard to prove, but we use our life experiences as examples as to why we believe him.
Yes.
So then at the end, she wanted us, almost every class we write an essay. So she wanted us to write an essay. She gave us two options. One of the options, which I felt was ridiculous, because I love to write. I'm a writer. One of the questions that the task to write about was, what are three things that the author could do to get people to sit next to him on the train? And I'm like, that's kind of silly to write it. Who wants to write an essay about what are three things that somebody could do to get somebody to sit next to them on the train?
Yeah, that
Then
didn't
the
make any
other,
sense.
exactly. And then the other option was, is he correct and why is he correct? So I chose that one. So she said, okay, so give me your three reasons as to, because we have to write 5 paragraphs. So obviously it's going to be an introduction, three
Hmm.
body paragraphs, and a conclusion. So she
Right.
said to me, what are your three reasons, which are going to be my three body paragraphs? So I said, um, the history of separation between the races,
Hmm.
Black people being seen as criminals. And then my last reason was because of the idea that was placed in this country of Black people being seen as not human beings. So she tried to argue with me and tell me that I shouldn't have picked that. And I'm just saying, well, those are my three reasonings, and I got my evidence to back it up. So I'm going to write about this.
Right.
So she said, okay. Meanwhile, I had my other classmates who wanted to write about the same thing, but she kept deterring them and kept saying, no, 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 I think you should write about the other topic. And in my head, I'm just wondering, well, why did you have two options if you were going to just tell everybody to write about the other option? So I believe I was the only person in my class to have written about the racism aspect. So she wrote me this very, very long email. I kind of want to share it because this goes back to us talking about how racism is still alive. And I just want to put into context that my professor is Jewish.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm gonna read what she said to me. I just gotta find it because it really pissed me off because when I tell you I took my time and I really went into detail and what she told me just completely pissed me off. Where is it? Um, shoot, is it this one? No, no, it's not that one. I have to find it because oh, this woman, I was gonna curse her out. Okay, so she wrote, hi, your writing is very good and well organized. However, your support of the main idea lacked current references. So that's where she lost me because there was no way that she said that everything had to have current references. I feel that a reference is a reference. It doesn't matter if it's current or not.
Right.
So she said, I talked about the film The Birth of a Nation, the first film to be aired in the US, which was in the White House. And basically, that film was very racist and depicted Black people as sexual deviants. I spoke about how there was a scene where these white men, they were in blackface and they were on the lookout for white women to rape. And that was a scene in the movie. So she said the first films were released in the 1920s and 30s. Much has changed in the world since then. So that was her
Hmm.
first comment. Then she said, secondly, there are respected television personalities, judges, even on the Supreme Court, members of Congress, and professionals who are Black. They are viewed for the content of their thoughts and not the content and not the color of their skin, to quote Dr. King. The separations between the races you speak of occurred in the southeastern part of the United States. In other parts of the nation, separation was often by choice or economic status. Different groups tended to live in ethnic neighborhoods such as Chinatown and Spanish Harlem. In the 1920s, Harlem became a center for Black people moving north. Then, fourth, segregation was ended by law more than 50 years ago. More than two generations have grown up without discriminatory practices. Then her fifth comment was the idea of subhumans was used by Nazi propaganda and discredited totally after World War II. And then she told me basically because the author is a professor of Black Studies, she was
Uh-huh.
basically saying that If you wish to support his claim, despite the fact that he's a professor of Black Studies, it is important to use more current examples. It is impossible to remove any and all negative feelings people may harbor, but proof must be able to be replicated. Please keep up your good writing.
Are you serious?
Yes. So she tried to tell me that the reason, like, my writing is good, but my idea isn't strong, isn't supported strongly um because my evidence is, quote unquote, in her eyes, old.
It doesn't matter.
But what I
You got
said
evidence.
exactly, and then what I made sure to put in my essay was how all of these, in her eyes, old information, how it brings us to where we are today. I made sure to put that in my essay and I spoke about that. And she still did not see what I was trying to say. The what I hate that people want to forget about the past, because the past is what brought us to where we are today. How are we going to forget that?
We will never forget that. They go say, you never forget where you came from,
Hmm.
which a lot
And
of people fail to realize.
she wanted me to forget that, and I was very upset. And because schools are closed, we do live stream classes,
Yeah.
and when I joined the live stream, she was like, "Did you get my email?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And she was saying to me, "Well, do you have any comments on what I said?" And I'm like, "I have a lot of comments for what you said, but I don't feel like this is something that needs to be said in front of the class." And she was like, "Well, people aren't here right now," because I was the first one in. So she was like, "Maybe we could talk about it a little bit now and then finish it later."
Hmm.
So I said, "I feel like you discredited my experience as a Black person. And there are a lot of people who feel the way that I feel. And for you to ignore that, like, it really hurt me." And she was saying that that wasn't what she was trying to do. And then she kept bringing up Dr. Martin Luther King. And I said, "Okay, this is what we're going to stop doing." And I said to her, and gave, I'm not going to censor myself, I gave zero fucks in this moment. I said to
Hmm.
her, she kept mentioning him, and I said, "Well, I'm sick and tired of people mentioning Dr. King over and over again as if he is the only Black person to have made contributions to this country. There are other people other than Dr. King who has made contributions to this country. They only use him as the face of it because he was doing nonviolent protests. And another reason why I'm upset that you keep mentioning him is because Dr. King was killed for the same reason. It was killed for being Black. So the fact that you keep saying that Luther King has done so much for the Black community, and he has done so much for this country in terms of moving from segregation, when he was killed for being a Black man fighting against that same thing. So let's stop acting like Dr. Martin Luther King just died of natural causes. No, he was killed.
Right. He was assassinated. It's true.
So she was saying, "So why didn't you write that in your essay?" And I'm just like, the reason why I'm mentioning Dr. Martin Luther King is because you keep mentioning him.
Hmm.
And I was like, and that's why I'm talking about him today, because the essay was not about Dr. Martin Luther King. The essay was about why this man is correct in believing that people aren't sitting next to him on the train. And I grounded my, reasoning with evidence from the past, how the past has brought us to where we are today. So for you to tell me to forget about my past, I'm not going to forget about the past. Absolutely not.
No, never.
And that's what they want you to do. They want you to keep forgetting. And it's like, no, how are we going to forget and this is what they're doing, especially with in Michael's case. We got to keep bringing it back. It's kind of like this is the same thing that they want you to forget the greatness that you come from.
Exactly.
And it's
Is
it's it's not okay. Why should Black people just be limited to being the low part of the barrel? Like, no. Black people are doctors, lawyers, teachers, entertainers, musicians, artists. We make up a lot of what is celebrated in this world. It
yes,
stems
we
from
do.
it stems from us. That was our doing. The music industry would be shit without Black people.
Yes, it would. I agree with you 100%.
Dance would be nothing without Black people. Comedy would be nothing without Black people. All these things that people love to glorify, celebrate today would be nothing without Black people.
Hmm.
And then for you to keep constantly having to want us to feel lower and want us to be lower, just like what you're doing with Michael, the same thing is happening. I mean, have you looked? I have people looked at past interviews with Paul McCartney. Well, I don't like Paul McCartney at all. Why I don't like Paul McCartney? Do you hear the way that he talks about Michael? Like he was some Negro, that he was
Yes.
nothing. The way that he talks about him, when he keeps talking about when Michael took the catalog, and he was just like, when they love to imitate Michael's voice too, because he has such a soft voice, so they get a kick out of imitating his voice, and was just like, oh, Michael said, I'm gonna steal your catalog, I'm gonna take it from you, and then he was just like, yeah, 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 kind of like brushing him off, like, yeah, okay, little Negro, bye. You know what I mean? And then when he took it from you, you got upset. And
Hmm.
there was a clip, I'm trying to remember where it was, but the guy who was interviewing Paul McCartney was like, oh, it wasn't funny anymore. He said, no, it's not funny at all. And I'm just like, there we go.
Yeah,
All
it's
all all of that, riling up within you, it came out. It came out of him right there. He was like, no, it's not funny at all.
no,
And
it never was.
that's the thing. You thought that Michael was some dumb little, black man, black boy, whatever, and that, he couldn't outsmart you, but he did. He kept telling you, I'm gonna take. He kept warning you and telling you, I'm gonna take your catalog. I'm gonna take your catalog. You didn't want to listen to him. It was either you
Hmm.
didn't want to listen to him, or you couldn't come up with the money to purchase your catalog, and he found a way. He did it.
What a lot of people fail to realize is that Michael was very smart.
Hmm.
He was very intelligent. He was very outspoken. I love to hear him talk. He was very outspoken. He spoke his mind.
Hmm.
He spoke his mind. That's what a lot of people didn't realize. A lot of people thought Michael was slow, mentally ill, retarded. No, he was far from that. The man was very intelligent. He
Oh,
knew what was up.
absolutely.
He knew what was up.
Look, let me tell you, this man was so smart in his business moves. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Like anything from Sony that plays, anything, he gets a little piece of that.
Hmm.
Anything from like the James Bond theme song to any little song. It's crazy. Basically anybody who has a deal with Sony, Michael gets a piece of that.
Yes, he did.
So people are acting as if, like I said, and it's just, it very much has to do with his personality that people didn't take him seriously. But as a black man, again, they did not take him seriously.
No, they did not.
Black people in general aren't taken seriously. And the fact that my professor make this argument about, there's black people in the media, on the Supreme Court, and all these other things, do you really think that they hold the power that they solely possess that power? No, they don't. They could be as high up as they want to be, but there's still somebody that they're gonna have to answer to.
That's
Same
right.
thing. I'll give you an example. You could keep mentioning, um, I'll give you an example. Let's just say a black person is a CEO of a company, right?
Hmm.
He holds a lot of power. Yes, he has a lot of money. Yes, but guess what? Let that black CEO, especially if he's a man, step out on the street with a hoodie at the wrong time of day. Somebody gonna shoot him.
Hmm.
So where that CEO power holds, then it doesn't hold anything in that type of situation.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
Same thing. How I saw a video years ago. I'm trying to remember who it was, but it was this man who lived in a some sort of community. I guess you could say he had like a gated community, but they weren't. It wasn't like everyone was close in proximity, but it was kind of like the houses were distances away from each other. And he had a nice car, and he was getting followed by the cops because they didn't think that a black man could own that type of car.
See?
Like it's craziness to me. So for her to, say stuff like that, it really pissed me off. And it all ties into how black people are viewed, in general. Just like how I said black people aren't taken seriously, you didn't take my paper seriously.
No, she really didn't.
So this is why I want people to just not just see this as what's happening with Michael as an attack on just Michael in general, but just take this as an attack on us as a people. They're attacking us left and right. Everyone we look up to, they gotta find some way to tear them down. They did the same thing to Martin Luther King, saying that he was having an affair with women and all this other stuff, and it's just like, what is his affairs, if he had any? What did any of them have to do with what he did for society?
Hmm.
Absolutely nothing.
Not at all.
They did the same thing to Kobe when he died. Everybody want to, rehash these allegations. They tried to do the same thing with what's his name, Morgan Freeman. Try to say that Morgan Freeman um was trying to was sexually harassing somebody in an interview and all these other things. Everybody great. They gotta find some way to break them down, and it gotta stop.
Yes, it does. It needs to stop right now because this stuff is not cool.
It's not.
Stuff is not cool at all.
Um, I had a question. So, does your niece have any issues with that teacher right now? Is there like any does she feel uncomfortable being in class, anything like that?
Well, she has been struggling for the most part, but the thing is that teacher resigned.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that teacher resigned. Yes, she did.
Wow. Wow.
Yep, she did. The teacher resigned.
So, the whole punishment that the teacher received with the being suspended without pay. How do you feel about the punishment? Do you think that it was fair? It was just?
Yeah, in my opinion, I believe it was just because that teacher was wrong.
Hmm.
That teacher was wrong for what she did. I mean, you humiliated not just my niece. It could have been anyone. You don't do stuff like that.
And
You do not do stuff like that.
I wanted to take the time out, and I did say this, through Facebook, but this is just I want to publicly just thank you in front of everyone for actually going up to the school with your niece's mother. That your sister?
That was my brother's ex-wife.
Okay. So, but for going up with, your niece's mom, I honestly really just want to say thank you for doing that. As an educator, that really just made me happy that you did that because, like I told you before, teachers can be bullies as well.
Yes, they can.
There are teachers who are bullying their students. I have witnessed it as a student when I was in school. I've witnessed teachers bullying kids. I've been, bullied by a teacher before. Um, so the fact that you went up there and that you actually took interest in what your niece was saying and her mom too, I really just thank her and congratulate her for doing that because that speaks volumes, especially when it's is your niece's, I don't want to get too much, but is she a black woman as well?
Yes.
So when two black women go up there and they, speak up for their child or whoever it is that they speak up, that says a lot. They a lot of the times I could tell you for a fact, a lot of the times the school don't want you to come up there.
No, they don't.
They don't want you to come up there and tell them off and tell them how you're doing something wrong or um something happened to my child. They don't like having to hear that. But the
No,
fact
they
that you
don't.
did that and that was a teachable moment for your niece that to always stand up for yourself and you stood up for your niece and that's very like that must have been a rewarding experience for you to stand up for her.
Yes, and I was glad and honored to stand up for her. I not only did it for her, I did it for myself. I did it for Michael, and I also did it for all of the fans as well because I am sick and tired of people dehumanizing, degrading, and lying against this man. I am really sick and tired of that, especially you telling this to a child,
Mhm.
that doesn't set well with me.
Mhm.
Doesn't set well with me. So therefore I did what I had to do, because for her to call me crying, no,
Oh, oh yeah.
no, I wasn't having that.
Yeah, and the humiliating her in front of the class is what really pisses me off because it's kind of like you couldn't pull her to the side and say, I would have respected it more if you would have, because it's my thing, right?
Hmm.
I get, especially like, somebody who works in a school, I get that a lot of these teachers, because, Michael, is and was a very influential person. So there is going to be at least one kid who's going to want to write about him at some point in time. But,
Yes.
and I get that these allegations has people on edge, especially educators, because I could tell you right now, especially in schools, they don't want to play his music in schools either.
No, they
And I
don't.
could and I could tell you, I'm while I'm sad to say this, but it's the truth. I have some t-shirts of his that I want to wear to work, but I don't wear it. I don't wear it because I don't want to have my boss come up to me and say, "Hey, tell me something." You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to stir up the pot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
I it's it's very hard to say, but I'm being completely honest. As somebody who defends him, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's kind of when it comes to your money, especially, it's scary for you to have to want to be outspoken against that. Don't get me wrong. If I hear somebody saying something, I'm gonna absolutely say something, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
like playing his music out loud or having to wear a t-shirt, like it kind of makes me kind of like wary of that because I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to. I don't like the unnecessary drama.
I don't either.
I don't like it at all. So I kind of understand teachers kind of not wanting the kids to write about him, but you shouldn't automatically just say no, you can't. You know what I'm saying? And gosh, like I'm really trying to figure out the words to say this. It's kind of like, well, why couldn't the teacher pull your niece to the side and be like, why, like ask a question like, why did you pick him? Just to hear what
Exactly.
she's gonna say. And then if she, if you hear her say something pure heart or whatever, let her run with it. Leave her alone. But it's kind of like you did that in front of the class, and then knowing how kids are, especially you say your niece is 12 years old. I know how them kids are.
Oh yeah.
Gonna start. They not nice. They're
No,
not
they're not.
nice.
Kids are cruel, believe it or not. Kids are very cruel. Hell,
Yes.
adults are cruel.
Mhm. But especially kids because they got no filter.
No, none
So
at all.
so yeah, of course it's gonna sting 10 times worse because now everybody laughing. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that moment. No, that was very unprofessional to do something like that.
Yes, it was. And I was very pissed off about that. I mean, I was so angry. I had steam coming out of my ears. So I was very, very pissed off at that, because that's like being a bully. You picking at her, and then not only you humiliated her in front of her whole class, but the kids were laughing at her,
And
and she
yeah,
was in tears. And you think
that
I'm just going to take that with a grain of salt? No, of course not.
it really reminds me of when I was this might speak more to my age, but whatever. I'm not even old at all. But this when I was in not seventh grade, when I was in eighth grade, this was I'm trying to remember what semester this was, but this was maybe close to a year after Michael had passed. I was in eighth grade, and I had a teacher who, gosh, I couldn't even remember. Everybody in my class knew I was a major MJ fan. Everybody knew that. Teachers knew that. Everybody was aware. Um, I had a teacher. I don't even remember what they said because I remember I just after that trying to block out that moment. The teacher had said something. I'm trying to remember if I was singing a song or something like that, and then the teacher kind of made a parody to the song, put in like pedophilia or being gay or something, adding it to the song, and then I
Wow.
remember being so pissed. I put my head down and I started crying, and I that was one thing I did not do in front of people was cry. and
Hmm.
I cried. And like the teacher was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I remember just running out of the classroom, upset, because it was kind of like, why did you do that? It's already enough that I hear from some of my classmates. I would hear stuff. I remember on the when Michael had passed, that was the last that was the day before the last day of school. So
Uh-huh.
the next day, I came in, I wore all black because I was mourning. I came to school, I was crying, and there was this girl in my class who I absolutely hated. She said, thank God that that F word is dead, that child molester is dead.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
oh yeah. And I remember just wanting to just punch her in the face. I remember just wanting to beat her up so bad because I'm like, this is not the time. Like
Couldn't
this
have
is
been me. Couldn't have been me because I probably would have punched her. I probably would have threw her ass over the desk. I mean, really, I mean, how can people say something so horrible? This remind me, I don't know if I told you about this comment I had read on another YouTube interview that these two idiots were talking about how Michael's grave needs to be pissed on. How evil can you get? You know, let me just say this. That's one of the reasons why Michael's grave is locked to the public. This is one of the reasons why fans cannot pay their respects up close and personal. You know, Michael should have been buried in his own private mausoleum.
hmm
But because of haters and idiots like that saying that his grave needs to be pissed on, that's the reason why he's locked away.
right.
Because he got too many haters.
hmm
I mean, I've read disgusting comments from people saying that when Michael was alive, they would have hung him, gouged out his eyes, they would have thrown acid on him, they
hmm
would have cut his own penis off and stuck it in his mouth. People are evil towards
Yeah.
this man. I'm like, this is the reason why he is locked away to the public. And you know, you and I both know, especially the other Moonwalker fans, we got you know, we all know how much Michael loved us. He loved his fans so much. And for us to be locked away from him, he would not like that.
Right. He wouldn't like it, but I feel like he would understand why. hmm
Yes. Yes.
Because, God forbid if his resting place was released to the public, there would be people vandalizing it. Sad
Yeah,
to
they would.
say.
Yeah, they
And
would.
his kids don't want to see that crap.
No, they don't.
That's just like who was that idiot? Somebody had vandalized somebody's Hollywood star whose name is Michael Jackson, but he's a radio host. And somebody had vandalized it thinking that it was Michael Jackson's when in fact it wasn't that Michael Jackson, but it was the radio host who I believe is from the UK.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
Paris had cleaned it up. And it's like people are people are ridiculous. So you mean to tell me that somebody would do that to, the Hollywood star? You don't think that they would do the same thing to his resting place?
They would. They would destroy it. I mean, even though his casket is in the floor of the Holly Terrace and the sarcophagus is on top of it, I mean, it's sealed. But yeah, they would do anything to destroy it.
And it's sad because that energy. I've never seen that energy towards anybody else who actually was proven of doing crazy things. I've never heard anybody say something like that about anyone else.
Me neither, and probably never will. Yeah,
I I
it's
just
just sad.
I think just the media just played too much of a role into the hatred that people have for this man, and it's really sad.
It's really sad.
It
It's
played
beyond sad.
played too much of a role. Like I've never seen people like you want to call Michael Jackson fans obsessed. The media is obsessed with this man.
Sure is.
The media is truly obsessed, and all for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
They never want to post kind of like when you sent me the article about Michael's estate donating the money to the three different organizations. Um
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't played on the news. Yeah,
No,
it was online, but they weren't playing it on the news.
no,
You know,
no.
anything positive surrounding his name, nah, they're not gonna do it.
Mm-mm, they're not. And
And that's
he even spoke about this himself.
yeah, and exactly, and that's exactly what I was gonna get into. Is this is why he said anything in print doesn't mean that it's the gospel.
Hmm. People
You
write
know,
negative things.
like, and that's the thing is that he said it so many times, and he proved it, like with the whole wanting to bind the elephant man's bones, and him in the the chamber, the
I can say,
and
yes.
yeah, and it's like come on, like
Hmm.
when are we actually gonna realize that what's surrounding this man's name is just been filth, like, and when he has done so many positive things, like they weren't covering when he helped that boy from, oh my gosh, where is he from, was it Austria, Farkas helped him find the liver.
Yes, the liver. That story touched me so much, and that's one thing that really pisses me off. People do not want to recognize all the goodness that Michael has done. Like you
Hmm.
said, they want to talk about the filth and the negativity to degrade him. All they did throughout the years was drag this man's name up and down and through the mud. That's
Hmm.
it. That's it.
It's
But
sad.
yes, it is. But they don't want to talk about the good things, all the charities that he's helped out, how he helped out that family in Germany when their house was destroyed in the flood. They don't talk about these things.
They
They do
don't.
not.
He's on, like the things that I've heard him do and seen, like, was just, and you know what's the crazy part is that there's so many untold stories of things
Yes,
that he's done that are slowly coming out. um like we've seen when he brought, all the inner city children, brought them to Neverland to spend a day and have fun. He paid for the buses for them to come out there and everything.
he sure
um
did. Sure did.
there was this guy, he's a radio host. I should find the interview. I don't know if many of you all have seen it. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but this radio host was talking about an incident happened by his school. I don't know if it was like a school shooting. Something happened. Some shooting happened either in the school or by the school. And Michael was paying for medical bills, and Michael was paying for funerals.
That's right. And speaking of that, remember Ryan White, the AIDS poster
Oh
child?
yeah.
Him and Michael
Mhm.
were very good friends. Michael even paid for his funeral. Michael even kept in touch with the boy's mother up until he died.
Mhm.
Michael brought Ryan his first car at age 18. I will never forget it. It was a Ford Mustang. But again, the media doesn't want to talk about these things. They don't want to acknowledge Michael for all the goodness that he's done. He did a lot for the world. I mean, he was the best humanitarian that we ever had.
Mhm.
Name me another celebrity that has done all the good things Michael has done. I'll wait. I'll wait. Because you know what? There isn't one. There
Mhm.
isn't another celebrity that has done as much as Michael has done. Period.
And he needs to be remembered, honored, and respected for that.
Yes, he does. But they don't want to do that. As long as you got, idiots like Wade and James out there continue to bashing him, they'll never recognize him for all the
Mhm.
goodness that he has done. That's why those two, their day is coming. Mark my word.
Oh, definitely.
Their day is coming.
And
I don't know how they can sleep with themselves at night. You on TV, you lying about a innocent dead man. You change up your story as many times like you change your drawers every day. How do you live with yourself? That's what I'm
it's
trying to figure
and
out.
they know that they doing wrong too, because you can't find their asses anywhere.
No, you cannot. They are lying through their teeth and they know it. They know it. My thing is here, if you're not lying, then why the hell you turn your comments off on Instagram? Huh? Why you turn your comments off? Because you know you're a filthy lying bastard, and you know people are going to get your ass.
You can't find them nowhere. You can't find them. I'm trying to remember who it was. I'm not sure if it was on Black Light Hip Hop. If he said it, that said that they look like they haven't been eating, they look crazy, like,
They
and they
do.
do. They
They do.
do.
Mm-mm. Way got a full beard now. And they look a mess. I said, yeah, that's that karma eating that ass.
Mhm. They look crazy. It's so crazy to me that wouldn't right now shouldn't have I don't know if you want to call it a trial. I don't know what we're calling it, but shouldn't have been starting around now.
Yes.
Well, Corona stopped that. So I want to know what's gonna happen afterwards. They got time to get their shit together. So let's see the circus play out. I'm just that's what I want to know, because the only thing that's interesting me about this whole thing is that I don't even care about the end result, because I know they're not going to get anything. I just want to see what they're going to use. Like, what defense do they have, and what information are they going to use to try to sway a judge? That's what I want to see.
Right.
Because
I
it's going to be nothing. Because what is it that you have now that you didn't have before?
true.
That's what I don't know. All I know is that this this needs to be the final time. Like, this should have been done. This first of all, none of these allegations should have been brought up in the first place, and we've gone back to '93. But what I'm saying is, this needs to be the final time. I don't need to hear no other allegations after this from nobody else. I don't need these fools trying to retry this again. It just needs to be done. Just
I
done.
agree with you because I'm sick of it. I really am sick of it. I said after this, nobody better not come out with nothing else because it's just ridiculous. It's all a bunch of BS and everything.
My thing is, if somebody else does come out, everybody just better know that it's trash, and that it's nonsense, and then give this person no play, no attention, no nothing. That's what needs to happen. Cause I'm tired of every 10 years or so. You're not noticing it's a 10-year gap each time.
It's a pattern. It's like history is repeating itself.
So it's like, come on, it needs to be done at this point.
I agree.
Um, so we've been going on for a long time. So I just
Yeah, we
wanted to
have.
ask you, do you have any um final comments that or anything that you just want to say to the viewers?
No, not at this time. I just appreciate you taking the time to let me do this interview and also for letting me to just share my story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Letting
I
me just
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, for letting me to just share my story. So I really do appreciate it.
Um,
Appreciate it
I
very
I
much.
really just want to thank first of all, I really want to thank you for doing this interview. I know this is a very like touchy topic, and I really just want to thank you overall for just being a really great supporter of mine. You've been sending me, articles, and you talk to me, and you just been interacting with other viewers and subscribers, and bringing your truth and your opinions to the table. I really just appreciate it. I never thought that my YouTube channel would be this. I always thought that if I were to do a YouTube channel, it would have, because I like to do makeup, so I thought it would have started with that, and then gradually just be a variety of things. But it's my what's happening with my channel right now is very slow, and gradually I'm seeing more people, and I really just I thank you and everyone else who really just have been supporting me. It's been tough. When I first started this channel, I was dealing with my health and everything, and to see where I'm at today in terms of my health, and then just continuing on with this, even though I'm dealing with a lot, like, I am so thankful, and you guys really just keep me going, and I'm just so honored to be the channel that you guys go to. I'm really thankful.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna let you go and get this thing ready for an upload, and I hope that everyone enjoys it. Um, to everyone who's listening to this, please share this um, with whoever you think would be interested. Um, Even if you could send this to, like, I don't know, if you guys watch Nicole's view, I think she would be interested in this video. Blacklight Hip Hop. Anybody who you feel that would, enjoy this interview, just please send it over to them. I thank you guys for sitting here. I don't know how long this is. I know it's over an hour, but I think anybody who stayed this long to listen to this interview, and I thank you again, Shatara, for sitting here with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So I'll talk to you later. This is all I have for today, folks. Until next time, see you later.